Hey guys, welcome back to Fantasy Tipped. My name is Julian and this is the waiver wire video for week 25, the final week of the fantasy hockey season. Now, as you can see, I'm not in my regular studio today, guys. I am a little bit under the weather. Max did an amazing job with the weekend waiver wire ads, and I'm still gonna do my best to put this video out, as well as a couple more for this week to help you guys out and win the final week, the fantasy finals for all of you guys for the fantasy hockey season, guys. So if the sound quality is a little bit off today, I do apologize. I do not have my normal equipment here. However, I still definitely want to get this video out for you guys. Now, there are two different ways that you could be playing this week. A lot of leagues only have part one of this week as your fantasy finals. So until Sunday, that's your fantasy finals. Other leagues, a lot of leagues are like this. They have both this week and the next week as both parts of week 25. So this video specifically is part one of week 25. Don't you worry, guys. I'll put out another video next week before that week begins as a video for part two of week 25. Just make sure not to use all your ads in part one of the week, because you're going to want to make sure that you can add some players for part two of the week as well to make sure that you can take home this week and win your fantasy finals and your fantasy trophy. Without further ado, guys, let's jump right into the content. Let's start with the schedule. And on Monday, there are 3 games, Tuesday 11, Wednesday 3 as well, Thursday 14, Friday there are no games at all, Saturday 16, and then Sunday 2. So the off nights, guys, are Monday, Wednesday, and Sunday. Friday is not an off night because there are no games. And there really are not a lot of games on those Monday, Wednesday, and Sunday slates. And there are quite a bit of games on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So you definitely want to make sure that you have some players playing on those off nights to really maximize the amount of games you have playing in your lineup this week. As far as off nights go, guys, the Anaheim Ducks is the only team that plays more than one off night this week, which is not super ideal. But the Ducks do play Wednesday and Sunday, which is 2 out of 3 off nights, which is not bad. Unfortunately, any Duck really worth anything is injured right now. However, if any of those guys like Trevor Zegras or Troy Terry come back from injury, they're definitely worth picking up for this week for those couple of off nights. Now, if you do want to get ahead this week, if you're maybe you're winning your previous week by a lot and you want to prepare for this week and grab someone who plays for that Monday off night, there are 6 teams that play on Monday: Arizona, Dallas, Minnesota, Nashville, Seattle, and Vegas. All pretty good teams to be loading up for Monday if you're able to add players in advance. Now, there are 3 teams that really don't have the best schedule this week, unfortunately, and those teams are the Islanders, the Washington Capitals, and the Winnipeg Jets. Reason for that is they only play 2 games apiece. The Islanders and Capitals particularly have bad schedules because, well, they play on the busy nights, whereas Winnipeg at least plays one of their games on the really not busy Wednesday night. Jumping into forward options now, guys, and first on the list I have Braden Shen of the St. Louis Blues, and the Blues are on an absolute tear right now. They're scoring a lot of goals, and Shen is doing very good right now on a line with Vrana and Saad, and I highly recommend picking him up for the fantasy finals if somehow he's available in your league. Then I have Brock Besser of the Vancouver Canucks, who's playing on the top line with JT Miller as well as the top power play. It's a good place for him to be, and he's performing a lot right now. Finally looking pretty good. Definitely a good ad for the finals. His teammate Kuzmenko is hot right now as well. Definitely could be added as well. Then David Perron of the Detroit Red Wings has been very hot as of late. He's playing on the top line and has 8 points in his last 6 games, including a hat trick a couple games ago. Definitely not someone I mind adding right now. Then Nick Schmaltz and Barrett Hayton, I've had them on this list for a few weeks now, but they've continued their very hot pace on that top line and top power play in Arizona, and they should be added in more leagues, and they got that Monday off night. Ryan Hartman continues to impress on the top line in Minnesota with Matt Zuccarello and Marcus Foligno. Definitely a good deployment for him. And then Jacob Vrana performing very well for St. Louis right now. Vrana on the line with Shen and Saad. Very hot lines right now in St. Louis. Next is my Manscaped must-add player of the video, Sammy Blais. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code word FANTASYTIPPED at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com with the code word FANTASYTIPPED. Always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Now, why is Sammy Blais my Manscaped must-add player of the video? Well, the dude has just been insane on that line with Kapanen. And with Jordan Kyrou, he's just performing really well right now. And even when he doesn't put up a point, which is rare because he's on a huge point streak right now, he's putting up a nice safe floor with hits. So especially if you're in a hitting league, Sammy Blais is just an excellent add for your fantasy team. Then we got Ivan Barbashev, who's only 28% rostered, playing on the top line in Vegas with Eichel and with Jonathan Marchand. So that's an amazing place to be. He's also deployed in the top power play unit. It's definitely a great place for him. And Vegas does have that off night on Monday as well. Barbashev is a great add. Oh, and Tippett's another good add, playing top line and top power play in Philadelphia and has been producing as of late. We got Dominic Kubalik, who's heated up as of late on the top line with Dylan Larkin. It's a good deployment for him, and he was very hot earlier in the season. You saw how good he was. If he can get back to that form, which it looks like he might be doing right now, it's an excellent add for the fantasy finals. And then Esa Lindell, who was ice cold, but over the past couple of games has been absolutely lighting it up on a line with Luostarinen and Matthew Tkachuk, who's been one of the best players in the league all year round. Like that deployment, and is definitely a decent add for the fantasy finals. Calle Jarnkrok is still on the line with Austin Matthews. It's not as hot as he used to be, but it's definitely a safe add if you want to add Calle Jarnkrok, because there's definitely that explosive potential. Definitely could go off and score a couple of goals. If there's nobody better, Jarnkrok is definitely not a bad add. Thomas Novak of the Nashville Predators, they do play that Monday off night, and Novak is still the top line center over there in Nashville. You could call it the second line too if you want to, but he's getting the top power play time as well. Novak, while he is a little bit cooler than he used to be maybe a week or two ago, still putting up points. Don't mind that addition. And Kasperi Kapanen, who's actually playing center on a line with Kyrou and with Sammy Blais, a very hot line. Unfortunately, doesn't actually have that center eligibility for you, but either way, guys, he's performing super well right now for your fantasy team. He is definitely worth an add. Those Blues really are performing right now. Then I have Eetu Luostarinen of the Florida Panthers playing on that line with Lundell and with Matthew Tkachuk. Like that line, Matthew Tkachuk has been insane all year long. Can't go wrong picking up Luostarinen. Marcus Johansson's playing top power play second line in Minnesota. Has been really producing as of late. It's a really excellent deadline pickup by the Minnesota Wild, and I think that you should consider picking him up as well. Morgan Frost of the Philadelphia Flyers, top line and top power play, has been producing. Good add in deep leagues. Brandon Saad is someone that I'm really liking right now as well. Brandon Saad has been lighting it up on that top line with Braden Shen and Jakub Vrana. It's a good deployment for him, and I think that if you're in a deep league, it's definitely worth a pickup. Jakob Silfverberg is my final forward addition, and he's the only Anaheim Duck I have on this list right now because he actually is putting up points. The peripherals are pretty much non-existent for him, but he is getting top 6 time right now with all the injuries, and he's putting up those points. Jumping into defensemen now, and even with Cale Makar back, Bowen Byram seems to be still putting up those points for Colorado. That's why I have him as an add here. Evan Bouchard still in that top power play in Edmonton. Actually has been scoring goals lately, which is absolutely wonderful to see. So if you added him based on my suggestions from last week or the week before, I've had him on this list for a couple weeks now. You are being rewarded right now because Bouchard has been doing well. Tony DeAngelo is someone who's heating up a little bit right now, getting top power play time in Philadelphia. Philadelphia, despite not really having a very good team, is scoring goals. So DeAngelo, not a terrible add here. Mike Matheson, up to 49% roster, has been Montreal's best player over the past couple of weeks. He has been putting up points, putting up some decent peripherals. Definitely an excellent add for the fantasy finals. John Klingberg, not my favorite add at all, but he is getting top power play time in Minnesota, and that's why I have him as a viable add if you're desperate for someone who can put up some points for you. Kaprizov could be coming back too this week, and that could definitely boost Klingberg's value. Jake Sanderson, someone I'm looking at right now in Ottawa, because Chikrin's out and Shabbat is out, which means Jake Sanderson is that top power play defenseman, which really boosts his value. And he's going to be getting a lot more minutes now as well in Ottawa. Sean Durzi is back from injury, and he's someone who puts up a point pretty frequently, every couple of games or so, puts up decent enough peripherals to definitely merit a spot on your team. If there's no other defensemen that are really worth grabbing, Sean Durzi is definitely someone that I would consider over any of the guys below him on this list. Juuso Valimaki has cooled down, unfortunately. He's still viable because he still is getting that top power play time in Arizona. So cross your fingers and hope that he scores a couple points for you. Definitely, though, he has slowed down. So if you are picking him up, just cross your fingers and hope for the best. Same thing with Fowler and with Boquist. Both those guys are also getting top power play time on their respective teams, but both those guys have slowed down significantly. Fowler, I mean, it's understandable. There's so many injuries in Anaheim right now. Their power play is not very good. But if Zegras and Terry come back next week or something like that, Fowler definitely gets a huge boost in value and definitely can return some value and some points for you if you pick him up. Then we have goalies. And first one is Carter Hart, who is injured when I'm recording this video, but I don't think it's overly serious, so he should be back next week. If he isn't, obviously don't pick him up, but if he's back and healthy, I definitely consider adding him because he is performing really well right now. And then Jordan Binnington, the St. Louis Blues. Hofer has been sent down, so Binnington is the starter over there again. Definitely not my favorite option, a little bit riskier, but he hasn't been terrible, and definitely someone that you could add if you need a starting goalie. Korpisalo is someone that I like a little bit better than Binnington. He looks to be starting a little bit more games now than Phoenix Copley, because Copley let in quite a few goals in his last start, so Korpisalo could be seeing a little bit more starts going forward, and definitely not a bad ad for Fantasy Finals. Cam Talbot got a win in a 5-4 game, just was horrendous, did not see a lot of shots against, and I think he's let in like 4 out of like 11 shots or something ridiculous like that, but ended up getting the win in overtime. But man, not a great start for him coming back from an injury. Hopefully he can do a little bit better than that. And if you're desperate, Cam Talbot is a starting goalie that you can consider picking up. John Gibson has not been very good, but Anaheim do have those off nights on Wednesday and Sunday. So if you do pick up Gibson in like a points-based league, he could end up getting those starts on Wednesday and Sunday, and that could be pretty valuable for you. In a Cats league, I would be a little bit weary though. Then we have Philip Grubauer, who I believe is still the starter in Seattle, has been the significantly better goaltender as of late, should get the bulk of the starts. James Reimer seems to be doing significantly better than Kakinen, so he should get the bulk of the starts as well for San Jose. And Stalock and Mrazek should split the starts evenly, so pick up whichever one you prefer. So if Stalock started the last game, Mrazek would probably start the game after that, and vice versa. So if you want to stream one of them, just be aware of that. Eric Comrie seems to have maybe taken the crease in Buffalo. This is a very risky ad in my opinion, because Buffalo does have 3 goalies on the roster. So if UPL or Anderson gets a start, and then, you know, Comrie could potentially not start till a couple games later, and that would be a huge waste of a roster spot. So if you're only super desperate, I would grab Comrie. Same thing with Michael Hutchinson. Merzlikins is injured again, and Michael Hutchinson is the goalie there as a starter on the roster and has played a few games in a row here and actually hasn't played too badly. So if you do need a starting goalie, he's probably available because he is available in 99% of leagues. So if you're super desperate and there really is nobody else available, Hutchinson, just grab him, cross your fingers, and hope that he has a good game for you. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching all the way through. I really do apologize for the quality today. Hopefully the sound quality isn't too bad. I hope that you guys have an amazing, amazing fantasy final, and I hope that you take home that fantasy trophy. Until next time, guys, I'll catch you in the next episode of Fantasy Tip.